Republican National Committee, nothing makes my skin crawl quite as much as the RNC. Well, maybe outside of the DNC or their, of course, new and improved So Complex logo. But this story isn't about that. No, this story's about the sucker punch that Donald J. Trump just laid down on the establishment. The establishment, the club. As the geography narrows this article out of the conservative treehouse before us, it is important to remember the stakes and avoid the distractions. As a consequence, the baseline must be reaffirmed. It is critical to understand that both the DNC and RNC are private corporations with no affiliation to government. Very important point there. It is a difficult shift in thinking, but the party system in U.S. politics revolves around two distinct private corporations. Some of us would argue one distinct private corporation. Two clubs that feed from the same corporate trough and position for influence and affluence within a political dynamic they control. Hence why so many of us talk about the one-party system. But what Donald Trump has done now to uproot this is absolute genius. The priority for both clubs, Republicans and Democrat, is not politically or culturally ideological. In the modern era, the corporate priority first begins with the battle over who controls each corporation. Doesn't matter about we the people. Never has, never will. As long as there is no challenge, the clubs operate without issue, no matter who's in control. I'm going to add a little bit to this. 2024 is going to be the election season when we see this corporate battle explode inside of the Republican group. Decades of entrenched power is at stake, and there has been 4 years of counter-positioning and backroom discussions leading up to the moment. As a consequence, I know this might sound odd to many people, the author states, but winning and or losing elections becomes a secondary issue. The people who control the RNC as a private corporation are not focused on winning elections. The RNC corporation is focused on retaining mission control, but there is one man standing squarely in their way, and that person is Donald J. Trump. And he just went scorched earth and launched something that no one expected to see, blindsiding the establishment, and it is pure genius. That's the story we're going to cover for you today. Before I do, if you haven't subscribed to Lisa's channel yet, please make sure you do. If you think you're subscribed, make sure you still are, and make sure your bell is checked to all, or else you won't be notified of any of her new videos. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I should put a link above. Can't tell you how much that means to both of us. If you could take just a few seconds to subscribe, and if you want to see more of us, if you love what Lisa's doing, if you love what I do, if you like the style journalism, research, reference we do, please, again, get to Restricted Republic. There's been more changes now, again, to terms of service that we have to be ever more aware of. It is becoming an even more difficult labyrinth to maneuver to make sure we don't step on any of the unintentional tripwires. That's why we created Restricted Republic, so you can enjoy the news unfiltered, uncensored, no commercials, no interruptions. That's your means of supporting Lisa and I. Again, less than a cup of coffee to get both of us on all our exclusive content, plus every video we publish everywhere else consolidated under that one umbrella, which is RestrictedRepublic.com. Get there today. Use discount code INDEPENDENCE. Declare your independence from all these controlled media sources and get to Restricted Republic. Enjoy it today. Look forward to seeing you there. Again, discount code INDEPENDENCE, monthly checkout, $4 a month for 2 years plus 14 days for free, because we know once you're there, you'll go nowhere else for your news that matters. But now let's get on with this broadcast. And the cowboy himself, Donald J. Trump, who's changed everything. Changed everything for, well, it's not going to make Ron and the RNC very happy, I promise you that. But oh well, too bad, so sad. The RNC wants to give the illusion of support for MAGA conservatives. They always have. Because the illusion of choice requires a base voter. However, every move they make on an operational level is exactly in line with their previous outlook towards cocktail class corporate republicanism. Fancy word. Got to make sure those big backers are happy. You know, these MAGA folks, they're kind of useful. You know, they're pulling in a lot more money than we'd expected, but They're a little renegade for us. I don't think they should be in the nice restaurants. No, I should probably be down the street. We're a little bit more comfortable with them there. But let's make sure they're close so we make them feel safe. And that's what the RNC does. Donald Trump is not a problem for the Republican Party. Donald Trump is the response to the problem within the Republican Party. Important statement. When you hear the billionaire donor influence group saying that the two priorities for control of the Republican club involve eliminating populism in the ranks, eliminating it, and realigning with multinational corporate objectives vis-a-vis Wall Street. But you can't have one and the other at the same time. You can't make America great again and then participate in the Paris Climate Treaty, the TTP, the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership Program, the TTIP. They simply can't go hand in hand. So to avoid the contradictions, most Democrats or Republican candidates simply won't talk about it. It's too difficult because they will expose to the American people that they are going to go along with their corporate backers and not we the people. President Trump broke that rule and even went so far as to campaign on an America First economic policy agenda. That core outlook forms the Make America Great Again Foundation. MAGA is based on a national economic policy outlook that determines every other national policy that Donald Trump carries out. Always has, always will. Well, that's not very beneficial to the RNC, who's trying to protect their billion-dollar backers. Now, is it? Because that flies in the face of their multinational agenda, a.k.a. Wall Street. So what is Trump doing? No, he's already slapped back if you've been watching. But he's going to slap back even worse with an absolutely genius maneuver. RNC chairwoman, one of our favorites. Let's listen in here for just 1 second.
Of course, Rana, the big question right now is Donald Trump. Will he show up? Has he told you that what he's going to do one way or the next?
If he told me, he could still change his mind. So President Trump's going to keep everyone guessing. He's the ultimate entertainer.
Oh, he's going to keep everyone guessing, Rana. So in other words, you have no flipping idea because he doesn't care about the RNC. What to know about the Republican debate pledge Trump refuses to sign? Oh, he slapped you not once, not twice. Oh, he hit you right between the eyes with a sucker punch that will go down in history. We're going to get there shortly. But he refused to sign the pledge, the one that so many have went ahead and signed. There is Beat Biden pledge, signed by Ron DeSantis and many others. You could see everybody who's going to so far qualify to participate in the debate. From Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, Tim Scott, Asa Hutchinson, to name a few. But you see, Donald wasn't going to sign that because he's not going to just simply come out and say he's going to support anybody the RNC says, and we would expect nothing less, of course. Donald's always got a lot to say, doesn't he?
I mean, I have a problem with the debate for another reason. I wouldn't sign the pledge. Why would I sign a pledge? There's people on there that I wouldn't have.
Rana, if Donald Trump says at some point, you know what, I want to debate, I'm going to get up on that stage, but I am not going to sign this loyalty pledge, would you really keep him off the debate stage if he doesn't sign it?
Well, one, he's signed the pledge before, and he's signed it to get on the South Carolina ballot. So
in other words, Rana again has no answer. But this goes back a long time, going back all the way to 2016. The number one value to the RNC from the candidacy of Donald Trump has always been supporter data. The donor files and the data of people who support Donald Trump. They want all the backers that Donald Trump brings in, backers that they had never seen before. This data floored Mr. Priebus in 2016 because the RNC had never before seen such a scale of grassroots donor support in the history of the organization. Well, that floored a lot of people, but they want that data. Data that Trump is allowing for. Data that only he brought to the table. The RNC administrative leadership were floored when the data sharing requirement forced Trump's team to turn over the data right before the GOP convention. It was so far beyond the scale of what they had ever seen before, they could not believe it. Millions and millions of new first-time names, the core of middle-class America. Data are people, MAGA people, Lots of them. More than the RNC has ever known. So what do? They try to bank on that. Of course they do. Support our candidates. Throw a little picture of Trump up there. The RNC can do that and go ahead and pad some of their coffers, couldn't they? Right now, the corporate club known as the RNC is as much the enemy as the Biden Department of Justice. Readers here know exactly what I'm talking about, and there is no need to rehash all the facets and examples. The battle inside the RNC is between the billionaire Wall Street club who controls it and the MAGA voting base who operates within it. So again, Donald Trump puts up the stiff arm. Won't be at the first debate, more than likely won't be at the second either. Snubbing the RNC debate in Wisconsin is a direct shot against the RNC as a private corporation, an RNC club that is covertly in alignment with the DNC, another private corporation funded by the same Wall Street billionaires. So what will happen next? Well, this silent battle will now go into a heated battle. The RNC is now going to justify the next attacks against Trump by pointing out his non-compliance with the debate. The RNC has been covertly hostile, but you will now see them become openly hostile. And Trump knows this. And so what does he do to stop it, to block it, to misdirect it? He deploys one of the most genius political moves to date. A completely inside move. If you understand the war inside the machine, then this move by President Trump will make a lot more sense. Going all the way back to 2016, remember, they value data. They value donors. The MAGA crowd was the largest addition of new money they have ever seen. So how do you maintain control of that to assure that everyone knows that you're donating to Trump? That money has been sealed for him? Well, you create your own seal. And Donald Trump did exactly that. This little logo, which means a whole lot more than most people can imagine because it was an absolute sucker punch to the RNC. Team Trump unveils new seal of approval to protect loyal donors from scammers. This from Donald J. Trump himself. President Donald J. Trump will grant the right to use his seal of approval to an exclusive group of candidates and committees that the president endorses or otherwise supports. Remember, he is the Republican Party, the leader de facto. So that means that if you want to run as a Trump-backed candidate, you now need to get the Don's approval. The purpose of this seal is to help President Trump donors distinguish between authorized users of his name and likeness and unauthorized uses, including oftentimes outright scams. It is intended to protect the president's donors and supporters from illegitimate organizations falsely claiming some affiliation with President Trump and his campaign. Oh, that wasn't meant at exactly the nefarious parties you would think, at least not in its whole, because he goes on further. President Trump's endorsements power is the most powerful force in American politics. His influence is election defining. When he posts an endorsement on Truth Social or a candidate's on stage before tens of thousands of voters, America First patriots rally behind President Trump's choice. Unfortunately, some candidates, PACs, and their funding vendors have drained millions of dollars from President Trump's donors by falsely claiming they support President Trump, that the president supports them, and that the funds received in response to those solicitations will support, help, or defend President Trump. To fight this scam, which is being directly pointed at the RNC, mind you, President Trump's endorsement will now include the right to use his name and likeness in fundraising solicitations and other campaign communications as signified only by his seal. The seal will be a powerful signal to President Trump's loyal donors that the sender is on Team Trump and is not a scammer. Candidates and committees authorized to use the seal shall be permitted and indeed encouraged to use the seal in connection with their activities on social media and paid advertising and on merchandise. The seal is revocable, non-exclusive license, and the digital art file containing the seal is non-transferable. Any entity that mimics or unlawfully uses a seal without explicit approval from a representative of President Trump's campaign may face legal action. Oh, the RNC and Ron McDaniels must be going insane, because that is a sucker punch of epic proportions. In essence, the RNC cannot exploit the MAGA brand for RNC MAGA endorsements and or use the donor data files without Trump's seal of approval. The data becomes worthless because without Trump's seal, any request is ignored. Additionally, without the seal, any RNC candidate is ignored. This creates leverage. This is how the insurgency forces the compliance. This is how the insurgency forces the compliance of the GOP. At least that appeared to be the goal for Donald Trump. If the RNC or any vendor or candidate that have sold the files to, including any candidate who runs as not aligned with Trump, attempts to exploit the file without the Trump seal of approval, the fracture between Trump and the RNC become openly visible. So in other words, he has forced the hand now of the RNC, who needs that seal, well, to simply exist. So much for those big billion-dollar corporate backers. Now, unfortunately, this puts an even larger target on Trump, but I don't think, frankly, he cares anymore. You see, he's that cowboy now, just seen off in the distance, because he has been put on an island of his own, continually attacked, well, now pushing back in what I will call an absolute checkmate maneuver. This is genius. There is no other way to say it. I love you all. Can't wait to see your comments on this video below. Until next time, Godspeed and God bless. Justice Knight, signing out.